Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News fans. The sun was dipping below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold. In the sprawling gardens of the romantic retreat, Mel Owens stood alone, a deep sigh escaping him. His heart was heavy, yet expectant, because tonight could change everything. Weeks of laughter, tears, and vulnerable conversations had led to this moment. The cameras had been rolling, but for Mel, it felt like the world had shrunk to just him, his feelings, and the lingering question, could love truly find him at this stage of life? Across the garden, the contestants watched silently from behind a delicate screen of jasmine and fairy lights. Each of them had their own stories, their own reasons for being here, but tonight, all eyes were on Mel. Every heartbeat, every glance, every shared smile in the previous weeks had built toward this defining hour. The teaser that would air tomorrow promised the moment everyone's been waiting for. And in the quiet of the evening, it felt like the weight of that anticipation pressed down on the world itself. Mel Owens was not your typical bachelor. At 68, he had lived fully, loved cautiously, and learned the bittersweet lessons of life. Friends often joked that he was a hopeless romantic, yet anyone who knew him understood that behind his calm demeanor lay a heart that never stopped searching. This quest for love wasn't about the thrill or the spotlight. It was about genuine connection, something he had never settled for, and something he wasn't about to now. When the producers first approached him with the idea of Golden Bachelor, Mel hesitated. Could the world really understand what it meant to pursue love later in life? Could he open himself up, not just to the cameras, but to the vulnerability that came with admitting, I want to love again? He had said yes, because deep down he knew that love, real, enduring, passionate love, was worth every awkward dinner date, every heart-racing moment, and yes, every televised blush. Each contestant brought a spark to Mel's life. There was Cindy, with her infectious laugh and unwavering honesty. She had a way of looking at Mel that made him feel seen in a way he hadn't in decades. Then there was Leela, whose quiet strength and piercing intelligence challenged him, made him reflect, made him dream. And of course there were the others, each adding layers of complexity, tension, and undeniable chemistry to the unfolding story. Over candlelit dinners, adrenaline-filled adventure dates, and heartfelt one-on-ones, Mel found himself struggling with an impossible choice. Each woman was remarkable, and yet he could only follow the path his heart truly recognized. And the teaser, the very clip the world would watch, hinted at a turning point that was as unpredictable as it was emotional. It was the final night. The garden glimmered under strings of twinkling lights, the air thick with expectation. Mel stood at the center, hands slightly trembling as the contestants approached. Every step they took seemed to echo in his chest. Every smile, every tear, every what-if conversation from the past weeks converged into a single, electric moment. Cindy's hand brushed against his. Her eyes searched his, conveying unspoken words of hope, fear, and longing. Leela's calm presence radiated strength, a quiet plea that he see her, not just the moment, but the future she imagined with him. Mel's heart raced, his mind a chaotic whirlwind of emotion. The cameras captured it all, but nothing could capture the intensity of a man standing on the precipice of love, facing the unknown with courage. The teaser had been careful. It didn't reveal the choice. It only showed Mel's face, eyes glistening, jaw tight, a breath held as though time had paused. Every fan, every viewer, every person watching from home would be left guessing. Who would get the final rose? Who would walk away with a heart full of hope or heartbreak? Mel closed his eyes, recalling laughter-filled breakfasts, starlit walks, and the quiet and profound conversations that knit his heart closer to these women. He realized love wasn't about the thrill, the competition, or even the cameras. It was about connection, authenticity, and courage. And in that instant, the world fell away, leaving only his heart to speak. The teaser promised drama, and it delivered, but not in the way viewers expected. It wasn't a shouting match or a shocking betrayal. It was raw, unfiltered emotion. The moment everyone had been waiting for wasn't just Mel choosing a woman, It was Mel embracing the vulnerability of love itself, showing a generation watching that it's never too late to open your heart, to hope, and to fall deeply. The episode would air tomorrow. Clips would flood social media. Fans would debate, gasp, and swoon. But for Mel, the true victory had already been achieved. The courage to love again, the bravery to lay his heart bare, and the undeniable knowledge that love, in all its messy, beautiful, unpredictable glory, had found him. Mel's journey wasn't just about the final rose. It was about every smile, every tear, every quiet moment that led to this crescendo. And as the credits of the teaser rolled, viewers caught a glimpse of something deeper. A man unafraid to hope, unafraid to feel, and unafraid to take a leap of faith, even when the world watched. The teaser ended with a single lingering frame, Mel's hand holding another, fingers intertwined, hearts aligned. The words flashed across the screen. The moment everyone had been waiting for is just the beginning.
Smiles, laughter, and stolen glances, but off-screen, the tension was palpable. The contestants, all remarkable women with hearts as full of hope as Mel's, felt the weight of the competition, yet they also cherished the genuine moments they shared. Cindy, ever candid, had a way of speaking that made Mel feel like time slowed down. During one evening stroll, she had said, "You know, it's rare to meet someone who listens not just to your words, but to the spaces in between." That sentence lingered in his mind long after the walk ended. Leela, on the other hand, radiated calm intelligence. She could turn a simple conversation into a philosophical exploration, making Mel rethink his own assumptions about life, love, and happiness. And then there was surprise, the unexpected guest who added both tension and humor. Margaret, Mel's childhood friend, who insisted on helping him navigate the emotional minefield, arrived unannounced. Her playful teasing, sharp observations, and unfiltered opinions made him laugh, but also forced him to confront his true feelings in ways he hadn't anticipated. One night, a storm rolled in, sending ripples across the lake that bordered the estate. Mel found himself in the boathouse with Cindy, away from prying eyes and humming cameras. The air was heavy with unsaid words, electricity crackling in every glance. Cindy's voice was soft, vulnerable. "I didn't come here looking for someone to complete me. I came to see if my heart could take the risk again. And you make me want to try." Mel felt a lump in his throat. He wanted to speak, but the words failed him. Instead, he reached for her hand. That simple touch carried decades of yearning, hope, and a promise that words could never fully express. Meanwhile, across the estate, Leela was having her own heart-to-heart with Mel. She spoke of dreams, of shared mornings with coffee and conversation, of small, unremarkable moments made extraordinary by connection. She said, "I know it sounds simple, but it's the simplicity of love that makes it infinite." Mel's heart pulled in two directions. Each connection, each confession had deepened the bond, making the final choice almost unbearably emotional. Even as the finale approached, Mel struggled with doubt. Could he truly make a choice without hurting someone he cared about? Was he brave enough to lay his heart bare, fully and unreservedly? These questions haunted him during the quiet hours of the night, when the estate was still and only the wind whispered through the trees. He sought counsel from unexpected places. The wise gardener, who reminded him that love wasn't about perfection, it was about courage. The late-night conversations with his friends, who reminded him that regret is heavier than heartbreak. And within himself, he wrestled with memories of past loves, joys, and losses, all culminating in the awareness that this moment, this emotional climax, was about more than a final rose. It was about proving to himself and to the world that love, at any age, is worth chasing. The night of the final rose arrived, and the garden was bathed in moonlight. Every corner glittered with fairy lights, candles flickering softly as if in rhythm with the pounding hearts of those present. The contestants lined up, elegance and emotion intertwined in every posture. Mel stepped forward, holding a single rose. Every camera angle, every shadow, every breath was magnified in this intimate spectacle. The world watched, but it felt like only he and the women were real, that everything else was distant noise. "Cindy," he began, voice thick with emotion, "from the very first moment, you've made me feel alive in ways I thought I'd forgotten. Your laughter, your honesty, your heart, It's shown me that love doesn't have an age. Cindy's eyes glistened, her hand hovering near his, trembling in anticipation. And, Leela, he turned, you've shown me patience, understanding, and a depth I never knew I needed. Your presence has been a quiet strength in my life, and I will always treasure that. The pause that followed was almost unbearable. Every viewer, every contestant, every camera crew held their breath. Mel's hand tightened around the rose. This journey, he finally said, has taught me more than I ever imagined, and tonight I choose to follow my heart. The screen cut to black, the teaser ending with the suspenseful freeze frame of Mel's hand hovering between two choices, leaving the world gasping and guessing. The teaser aired the next evening. Social media erupted with speculation, hashtags, and heart emojis. Fans debated endlessly. Who did Mel choose? Was it Cindy, Leela, someone entirely different? But behind the screens, Mel knew that the real story wasn't just about the choice. It was about the courage to love, the vulnerability required to open one's heart, and the beautiful unpredictability of human connection. In the quiet moments, when the lights of the estate faded and the contestants returned to their rooms, Mel allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. Regardless of the cameras, the drama, or the expectations, he had experienced something rare. The exhilaration and terror of loving openly, honestly,
Cindy's journey to
and
the
without
estate
reserve.
had been anything but ordinary. At 62, she had faced heartbreak, career changes, and the loss of loved ones. Yet she carried herself with a radiant optimism, a belief that love was always worth pursuing. Her friends often told her she had a heart too big for her own good, but Cindy knew that was her strength. She remembered her first encounter with Mel vividly, his warm smile, the twinkle in his eyes, the way he listened so intently. It felt like someone had finally seen her whole self. Over the weeks, each conversation, each stolen laugh, and even each disagreement had only drawn her closer. One evening, during a quiet moment on the terrace, Cindy whispered to herself, "I'm falling, but I'm not afraid." She didn't realize that Mel, standing just a few feet away, had heard her. That confession, simple and raw, would linger in both of their hearts forever. Lila's path to the show had been different. Independent, fiercely intelligent, and quietly passionate, she had always approached love with careful consideration. Lila had lost someone dear years ago and vowed never to settle for anything less than profound connection. From the moment she met Mel, she recognized something rare, a depth of character, a tenderness, a man who had lived fully but still held space for love. Her own walls, built over decades of caution, began to crumble as she laughed, shared secrets, and dreamed alongside him. In her private journal, Lila wrote, "Mel makes me believe in what I've been waiting for, not just love, but understanding, companionship, and the quiet thrill of shared joy." Those words, unseen by anyone but herself, shaped her every interaction, guiding her heart even as the competition intensified. As the final rose ceremony neared, tensions among the contestants grew. Emotions ran high, alliances subtly formed and dissolved, and moments of jealousy crept into the carefully curated romance. One evening, a surprise challenge was announced, a night under the stars with a single task, to share the most vulnerable truth they had never spoken aloud. Hearts pounded, breaths caught, and confessions spilled into the cool night air like a torrent. Cindy admitted her fear of being overlooked, of loving and being left behind. Lila revealed her hesitation to trust again after past heartbreak. Each revelation pulled Mel deeper into reflection, his heart a complex mosaic of empathy, desire, and indecision. The challenge wasn't about winning, it was about truth. And in the rawness of that night, Mel saw the essence of both women, their hearts laid bare under the starlit sky. The night before the final rose ceremony, Mel walked alone through the gardens. The moonlight painted silvery shadows across the pathways, illuminating flowers in bloom. He paused, taking a deep breath, reflecting on every laugh, tear, and tender moment that had led to this point. He remembered Cindy's laughter echoing across the terrace, Lila's quiet voice sharing dreams under the stars, and every conversation in between. He realized that love wasn't just about a moment, it was about all the moments, combined, the small threads that weave a tapestry of connection. For the first time, Mel felt clarity. He understood that while the decision would bring joy to one heart, it would inevitably break another. Yet love, he realized, is never without risk. The garden was alive with anticipation. Candles flickered in the night breeze, and fairy lights twinkled like stars captured on Earth. Contestants lined up, their faces a mixture of hope and trepidation. Mel took a deep breath and stepped forward, rose in hand. His voice, steady but emotional, filled the silent space. "Cindy, Lila, these past weeks had been the most profound of my life. Each of you has touched my heart in ways I never imagined. You've made me laugh, think, hope, and dare to feel again." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. "Cindy," he continued, taking her hand gently, "from the very first moment, your laughter and honesty made me feel alive. You remind me of what it means to truly connect, to share not just joy but vulnerability." Cindy's eyes glistened, her fingers trembling against his. "And Lila," he said, turning to her, "you've shown me patience, depth, and the beauty of quiet understanding. You make me believe in the strength of love even in silence." He closed his eyes briefly, then opened them with a serene determination. "Tonight, I choose to follow my heart, and it leads me to—" The camera held on the rose as Mel extended it toward Cindy. A gasp rippled through the garden. Cindy's tears flowed freely as she accepted the rose, her voice a whisper of joy. I can't believe this." Lila, graceful and dignified, smiled through her own tears. "You deserve this, Mel," she said softly, stepping aside. The garden erupted in applause, and the cameras captured every embrace, every laugh, every tear. But for Mel and Cindy, the world had narrowed to the simple, beautiful truth of two hearts finding each other. In the days following the finale, Mel and Cindy walked hand in hand through the estate, reflecting on the journey that had brought them together. Interviews, social media, and public attention swirled around them, but their focus remained on each other. They spent mornings laughing over coffee, afternoons exploring hidden trails, and evenings sharing quiet moments beneath the stars. Every glance, every touch reminded them that the journey wasn't over. It had only begun. Lila, meanwhile, found peace in reflection, knowing she had experienced a love so profound that it would shape her life forever. Though her heart ached, she carried no bitterness, only gratitude for a journey that had allowed her to truly feel. Months later, Mel and Cindy returned to the estate, not for cameras or applause, but for themselves. They planted a tree together symbolizing growth, patience, and love that would continue to flourish. Mel looked at Cindy and said, This is everything I ever hoped for." Cindy smiled, her eyes reflecting the golden sunlight. "And it's just the beginning." Their journey was proof that love doesn't follow a script, doesn't adhere to age, and never requires perfection. It simply requires courage, honesty, and a heart willing to leap, sometimes into the unknown, sometimes into another's arms. And as they walked hand in hand beneath the blooming branches, the world outside could wait. For Mel Owens, the quest for love had finally found its most beautiful chapter.